Breaking news coming in. Delhi's Patiala House Court has framed charges against an undesignated terrorist. Charges against designated terrorists Hafiz, Saeed, Hizbul Chief Saeed, Salahuddin, others in a case concerning terrorist and secessionist activities in Jammu and Kashmir. Now, the court also framed charges against separatist leaders like Yasin, Malik, Bitta Karate and Shabir Shah. Charges framed against Yasin, Malik, Hafiz, Saeed. Now, that's the Delhi Patiala House Court framing charges against the United Nations designated terrorists Hafiz, Saeed, Hizbul Chief Saeed Salahuddin and others in the case concerning terrorist and secessionist activities in Jammu and Kashmir. Now, the Delhi Patiala House Court has also framed charges against separatist leaders Yasin Malik, Bitta and Shabir Shah. That's the latest news that we're getting to you right now. That while framing charges, court noted that the Hurriyat had conspired with terror outfits for the purpose of criminal conspiracy for secession of Jammu and Kashmir from India. The court framed the charges under sections of criminal conspiracy, waging a war against the government of India, conspiracy to wage a war against India, and for unlawful activities under various sections of the UAPA Act. Joining me on the broadcast is my colleague Ananya. Ananya, what do you make of this latest verdict being right now given by the Delhi Patiala House Court, framing charges against Hafiz Saeed, Hizbul Chief Saeed Salahuddin and others? They also say that Hurriyat has conspired with terror outfits. What more are you picking up on this?
Well, yes, clearly, Crispino, there's a big development taking place with regards to the terrorist activities in Jammu and Kashmir. And remember that the court has now framed charges against Yasin, Malik, Bitta Karate and others, which include separatist leaders like Yasin, Malik. In fact, Hizbul Chief, who has been absconding, the Hafiz, Saeed and designated terrorists like Saeed Salahuddin has also been charged under various sections of the IPC, which includes criminal conspiracy and also for the charges of unlawful activities under the UAPA Act. And remember that a very, very crucial observation that has been made with regards to the Hurriyat leaders is that the Hurriyat had conspired with terrorist organizations in order to create secession in Jammu and Kashmir. It is a clear observation by Delhi's Patiala House Court. ASJ Praveen Singh has clearly read out this observation, clearly stating that the Hurriyat had conspired with these terror groups to create unrest in the Kashmir Valley. In fact, it has also been observed by the Delhi's Patiala House Court, ASJ Praveen Singh, clearly stating that the ideas of these protests were clearly violent and were not at all based on Gandhian principles, but in fact were inspired by that of Adolf Hitler and the march of the brown shirts. Remember that Hitler is always compared to doing genocide and activities which are of that large scale of violence, and hence such a big observation coming in from a Delhi court with regards to the terrorist activities and Hurriyat leaders in the Kashmir Valley is something very, very crucial. And remember, we are already seeing a controversy going on with regards to a film which is based on these characters, and there are a lot of characters which are named in this order and in that film as well. So there exists a great parlance to this order. And remember that these charges include that of criminal conspiracy, the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, and these are serious charges against these accused people, which include Yasin Malik, which include Bitta Karate, which includes
Shabir Shah, and also others.
Yes, and we're also putting out on our screens the visuals of that court order there, framing charges against under sections of the criminal conspiracy, waging a war against the government of India, conspiracy to wage a war against India, and for unlawful activities under various sections of the UAPA Act. Republic TV has now accessed the court order. Ananya, we have accessed the court order, and we have told our viewers also the kind of sections that have been slapped against those accused in this case. What more can you tell us with regards to the court order now?
Well, yes, the court order clearly states that there are various observations made which include that Adolf Hitler has been compared to, and we have seen that the court clearly states that the Gandhian principles were not the principles by which these protests and violence were there, but it was the principles which Adolf Hitler used to adopt. And remember that the people named in this charge sheet are very, very similar to what we are seeing in the controversy with regards to the Kashmir files. This relates to, in fact, the Kashmir files because remember the characters like Bitta Karate, the characters like Yasin, Malik, who were a prime face, who are still a prime face between the youth of Kashmir and also the people of Kashmir, are named in this order. Various scathing observations, including that of the Hurriyat leaders being in conspiracy with the terror organizations, is clearly come out, prima facie observations. But remember that this is an order of framing charges. In fact, Hafiz, Saeed, people like Saeed Salahuddin have also been named in this order. So how crucial this comes out at a point of time. And now the trial in this case would begin on the next date. There would be a formal framing of charges. The accused would be presented. They would be signing, and a formal charging of these accused persons would take place. But remember, since the NIA proceedings, the NIA court proceedings are completely in camera and are done in camera in order to protect the national security and sovereignty of the nation, I would not like to indulge into what would happen next with regards to this. But according to the general court procedures, the trial would now begin in this case, Crispino.